Show me the thing! Welcome back to Featured Fan Builds. I am your host, Captain Xavier, and once again we will be looking at a plethora of awesome Nerf builds sent in by you guys, the fans. And if you would like to have your build featured, the email address to send it to is the one that's on the screen, captain.xavier.fanbuilds@gmail.com. Do try to have a good neutral background, good lighting, don't show your feet, stuff like that. This first example that we're going to be talking about is a beautiful example of good photography, of showing off all of the details and of having good background and all of that. So take notes. Speaking of this first build, let's take a look at it. This was sent in by Neil, and he calls it the Rapturian, which is a fabulous name for this particular blaster. It is, as you actually can't obviously tell, an integration between a Rapid Strike and a Centurion. Now, I've seen lots of Centurions that have been cut up to where they just used the stock, because it's a very nice, very comfortable stock. Good design. But Neil decided he didn't want to just cut off 75% of the Centurion. He wanted to go the other way around. So he minimized the Rapid Strike and just put it in inside the Centurion, which allowed him to use 95% of the Centurion shell. There was some cutting necessary to fit the Rapid Strike in there. And he did an absolutely fantastic job with the integration. He covers all of his gaps, he cleans up all of his seams, he sands and files all of his epoxy, and so it's very, very clean. And I like it when people take that extra time to really clean up their integrations and really make it hard to spot where the integrations even happened if you're not incredibly familiar with the blasters. Another feature that he did that I absolutely love, it is simply genius, is he turned the original magazine well and magazine into the battery housing for his LiPo. So he can remove it just by pushing the mag release on the original Centurion, and then it just drops out, and that's where what he has turned into his battery housing. And that kind of functionality I absolutely love. That is just a brilliant, brilliant idea. And everything about this build is very, very pretty. I like that he kept the original color. Obviously, he'd had to paint the Rapid Strike, and I assume painted the rest of it to match. For the internals, it's a 2S build, so it's nothing crazy. It runs on Fang revamps, Bulldog wheels, and a worker cage. So it gets about 150 FPS, and it has a stock pusher, so it gets about 7 darts a second. So it's not an insane build. It's a perfectly acceptable build for, say, your average public Nerf war. Most of those run at about 150. But it's just a really, really neat build, and I really think he did a fantastic job. And I'm kind of tempted to do something similar, but have it feed from the top to give it kind of a sci-fi Bren gun look. I think that would be a really neat one. Obviously, having the side feed means you don't have the magazine in the way of your sight picture, and you can still feed it from a prone position. So I have no issues with the way he did it. I think it would just be neat to do one that went from the top as well. So beautiful work, Neil, with your Rapturian. Up next, we have a build from Poland. This was sent in by Gustav. And as you can see, it's a modified double strike, and it was meant to be a post-apocalyptic look, and he has definitely achieved that. He decided he specifically didn't want any rust. You see a lot of rust weathering in post-apocalyptic builds, and apparently this was for somebody who has the ability to maintain their weapon a little bit better than some have in the post-apocalypse, would be my theory. But I love the way they did the weathering. There is scorch marks and scrapes and nicks, and the grip was made to look like weathered rubber. Obviously they've replaced the grip entirely, and then the barrel shroud there, you can see heat discoloration, which is not something I've seen on a lot of Nerf paint jobs. I've seen it in a couple of places, but it's not done very often. And the paint job was actually done not by Gustav, but by Damien Durage, whose name I'm almost certainly mispronouncing. And apparently he specializes in doing that heat discoloration, which is, I imagine, kind of tricky to get right on using paint. I mean, it would almost be easier to make that shroud out of metal and then just actually heat discolor it. But he's done an absolutely beautiful job here. The blaster he refers to as Black Death, and in Polish that's what you currently see on the screen that I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce because I'm sure I would butcher it horribly. But I really like this. I like that it has that cobbled together post-apocalyptic look. Very simple, very Spartan. But a beautiful job with the weathering and the general cosmetics. So well done, Gustav and Damien. The last one I'm going to talk about is a Raven that was designed by Eric, and it's pretty cool. I will just use his words. This is my Select Fire Raven. I designed and printed all of the parts for it. The Select Fire board is my own design using an Adafruit Metro Mini microcontroller. It uses PWMs to control the flywheel and pusher. It runs on a custom 2S3P 18650 pack that I may replace with a LiPo eventually. Flywheel motors are some China specials that run around 35,000 RPM. The pusher motor came from an ECS-10. I'm using a cam follower design for the pusher with a Hall effect sensor to detect the pusher position. It counts shots from 0 up and resets with a mag change. I also designed custom flywheel cage and wheels. They are concave canted and have a squirrel cage blower design to them to shove air down the barrel to cushion the dart. Don't know if it does any good, but it's pretty cool. I agree. This is a really, really cool custom build. I really like his paint job and all of the detailing that he's done. I would love to have a Select Fire Raven. I really need to get into both designing my own 3D stuff as well as programming. I have a degree in programming, and I've still never done any of my own Arduino programming. I have all the parts, I have all the stuff, just need to get around to it. But I absolutely love what he's done here. All of the internal work and the way he did the paint job and all of that is really, really impressive that he did all that design work. Obviously, the internal specifications could use some work. I'm not sure why he went with the China specials as opposed to some of the various motors that we have available today. Maybe there may be a good reason for that. He may not have available. I'm just mildly curious. But it's really, really nice design and a very clever design, all the little features that he's added. So, yeah, beautiful work, Eric. I don't know if he's planning to sell this kit. Hopefully, maybe he'll reach out to me. Maybe he'll comment. Hopefully, things like this will be made available because, like I said, I'd love to get my hands on one. All right. That's it. On to the slideshow.
Shut up and sit down.